Welcome in everyone to another midweek episode of Flyover Footy. We are once again between matches. My name is Matt Baker, and on this show, we're going to run through some player updates from Tuesday's training this week, go over a bit about David Critchley and what he had to say to members of the media before hearing directly from head coach David Critchley on a few topics, and then hear from our featured interview with center back and center defensive midfielder Jake Girdwood-Reich this week. Let's start by looking at some player updates from training on Tuesday. Now, last week, we were without the services of Edu Leuven, Chris Durkin, Henry Kessler, Timo Baumgartel, Joachim Nilsson, and Rasmus Alm. And yeah, that's a mouthful. Then around the 8-minute mark of last week's game against Houston, midfielder Alfredo Morales goes down with an upper body injury that looked at the time like a collarbone, maybe a clavicle type injury, and he subbed off immediately, or at least after being unable to go and return in the game. Now, Tuesday in training, Edu Leuven, Henry Kessler, Timo Baumgartel, Joachim Nilsson, Rasmus Alm, and Alfredo Morales all remained out, with Leuven, Nilsson, and Alm spotted running and doing some individual drills on a side field. After training, David Critchley gave an update on Alfredo Morales, saying that Morales suffered an injury to his clavicle in last week's Houston match. Critchley said, quote, "He'll be out a few weeks." Went on to say, "I don't know if something's broken." And then he said, "They'll do all the tests needed to determine the extent of the injury." Suffice to say, Alfredo Morales is going to be out for the foreseeable future. His long-term availability for City is now in question. At 35 years old, Alfredo Morales' option wasn't at all a guarantee to be picked up at the end of the season, and now it's a valid conversation to wonder if they're going to need to put him on season-ending IR, which would free up a roster slot on the senior roster, yes, a fact that's not only important, but with the MLS transfer window opening on July 24th, it is time sensitive as well. So there's a lot to figure out about this type of injury, the extent of it, the length he'll be out, and they have to figure this out fast because it's going to play into what they do this transfer window and what they're capable of doing this transfer window. Now, one player who did return to team training on the field on Tuesday, who was out last week, was Chris Durkin. Durkin wore a yellow shirt, which typically indicates non-contact during team drills, and then worked off to the side as the team finished their activities. And after training, David Critchley said on Chris Durkin, quote, "He's got a great presence on the field, big, strong, good leader, a presence we've missed for a while. As you saw before the injury, I'm not opposed to playing him as a center back or a 6 and will adjust accordingly for the weekend." So it does sound like Chris Durkin is in the game plan for St. Louis City against RSL this next weekend, as long as there are no setbacks. Critchley also noted the necessary depth that they're going to need in the midfield. And on the subject of Chris Durkin, but related to that, City 2's Tyson Pierce and Seth Antwi were in training with the team as well. Pierce can play the midfield or right back, and Seth Antwi is a midfielder for City 2. Tyson Pierce is a homegrown signing for City on a season-long loan, so he already has a St. Louis City contract. And Seth Antwi is signed directly to City 2. Both of them would require short-term loans in order to appear on the roster for St. Louis against RSL or any other game. And we're going to hear from David Critchley in just a moment on both of these two. So with that, I'm going to send it over to David Critchley, who spoke to me a bit after training on Tuesday, along with members of the media, to hear from his thoughts on my questions on Pierce and Antwi in training, along with some of the issues that occurred against Houston and how they look to learn from that, as well as Critchley's view of Jake Girdwood-Reich and Michael Wenzel as a center back pairing. And then after that, our featured interview this week is with center back, center defensive midfielder Jake Girdwood-Reich. And I really enjoyed this interview. I think you're going to get to know JGR as both a player and a person a little bit. And as a U22 signing for City through the 27 season with a club option for the 28 season, you may want to get to know him now because he could be around for a while. And as he's going to tell us in just a moment, he's healthy for possibly the first time since he's been signed. And with that, I will step aside and thank you for listening to this midweek episode of Flyover Footy. Be sure to like and subscribe to us on all of our channels, podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, X, Blue Sky. Tell your friends, tell your family. Please give us these subscriptions, give us these likes, because we keep doing this on pre-games, post-games, during trainings. I love doing it, and as much as you can support us, we really help it, and that's kind of all it takes to support us is download, subscribe, listen. Really appreciate it. So thanks for tuning in, and here's our interim manager, David Critchley. Depth, sorry, you had Seth Antwi, Tyson Pierce in camp or in training for the first time. Talk to us about what brought them here and what the plan is for them in the future.
Yeah, they've been training well with Hack. We speak to Hack all the time about whether they're performing in the training environment in the games. We all know the top of the West, so we have a very, very talented next pro team here. with a lot of talent. So I want to be able to give these guys consistent opportunities. So it's nice to see Tyson come in, and Seth. Seth's it might be his first team training appearance with the full group. So I was very happy to see him come in today and fight and compete. So yeah, he's a good player.
What do you attribute to that in not following through with the game plan that you designed? And is that something that you're concerned about going forward too?
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have said it that way. It wasn't that they didn't follow the game plan. It was more us adjusting to them, helping them understand that there's different ways to bypass their pressure. The primary objective was central. The secondary objective was to go around them. That's where they probably went around a little too much and forgot the primary way to play, which is very central. But these guys are super coachable, so I don't want that message to come across wrong. And they're super coachable. They're showing up every day asking what we can do to improve and try to apply themselves on the field. So I give them massive credit. They're a good group.
The center back duo of JGR and Michael Wenzel, I don't know how long that might continue because of the injuries, but what does that group offer that might be different from a Kessler, Baumgartel, or Hebert, and how does that affect the game plan?
Yeah, I don't know if it's different. It's probably fair for me to say they have less experience than those types of players. So they're going to have to pick and choose moments when to maybe invite pressure versus bypass pressure. So that's probably a game against Houston where they had a good chance to learn. We might have invited a little too much pressure onto our back line at times where we could bypass the pressure and go in behind. Some of these more experienced guys might understand their moments, but they learned from them. They had really good questions in film today. They were definitely open to listening to areas where they can improve. But what they did bring is a very big fight, especially against the ball. They were really good. I know Roman was complimentary of them being behind them as a goalkeeper that day. They were making blocks, they were making big clearances with headers and whatnot. So brought a lot of tenaciousness on the defensive side for us.
Girdwood-Reich, thanks for talking to us here on Flyover Footy. What are your first thoughts on this past game?
Yeah, firstly, happy to start in more my natural position. Obviously disappointed with the 1-0 loss. I thought it was a bit of a scrappy goal. I think some of us were a bit too static, too stuck in the mud. But yeah, so disappointed, but happy to get the start.
Now, this is our first time talking with you, so I want to go back a little bit to last summer. You were, I would say, a much heralded signing. First, I don't know how much you pay attention to the MLS roster rules and all that stuff, but U22 signing. First signing directly to City. Does that mean anything to you in what City was looking for to bring you on? And what were your thoughts coming to St. Louis?
Yeah, don't know too much about the MLS roster rules. Very confusing to me, but
you're not the only one.
Yeah, I think I came in as more of the youngest, I think. And yeah, coming here was more of a bit of a stepping stone for me. Obviously, coming from Australia in the A-League, just like my end goal is to go to Europe, and I thought MLS as a league is growing so much, and I saw St. Louis what they did in the first year, and yeah, just wanted to come.
What did Lutz talk to you about? What did he tell you your role was going to be and how this would help in your career?
Yeah, he thought the same. Good stepping stone to try and get to your end goal, and also just come in and compete with older lads, try and get as many minutes as you can, and really nail a spot down here.
There's been a lot of turnover, I would say, a little bit more than expected in your time since signing. Did he talk to you about playing a midfield role, a 6, versus back at the center back role?
Yeah, he said both. I mean, majority of my time, I'd say almost 90%, I played as a centre back before I came, but when I first started breaking in Australia, I played as a midfielder. So yeah, both as a 6 and a centre back. Yeah.
And you said you're more comfortable at the center back role. That was where you finished your time at Sydney, right?
Yeah, I played there the whole year, pretty much. So yeah, that's more my natural position. Haven't really been given the chance there, more as a 6, but I was happy the new boss gave me the opportunity to play there.
And then this off season, talk us through, I guess, some of your struggles, injuries, illnesses. What was this past off season like for you as you geared up to come in to your first training camp here?
Yeah, so it was a bit tough my first couple of months here, really, because I kind of felt something in my ankle, and they wanted me to finish off the season, and then we got some scans, and there was some impingement stuff in there. So then I got a clean-out surgery in Australia, and I was doing rehab there. I joined the group a little bit later on, and then got to pre-season camp, got an illness. Then I had the green card situation, came back, and then the recovery with the injury took a little bit longer than we expected. And then was pretty much getting in the rhythm of getting fit, getting comfortable on the pitch again. So yeah, my first couple of months here has been tough, but I think now I'm fully fit, I feel confident, and I'm really wanting to put a stamp down here in this team.
I think 90% of what you just said had to deal with off-the-field stuff. So I can only imagine the mindset in the off-season, getting prepared for this season. One thing that I don't think has received a lot of attention is your green card. What was that like? Was it a real decision for you, or was it the best thing for the team, for yourself? What was that like in choosing to get that?
I think it was good for both parties. For the team, obviously, international spot, so then it doesn't count, and also for me just to get a green card. Yeah, exactly. That's the only thing I know because of the green card. But I think, yeah, good for both parties, good for me, good for the club. Yeah.
And then coming into the season, it took a while to get up to fitness, to get healthy. Now that you're healthy and you're given an opportunity at the center back role, what are you looking to make of this season from a personal perspective?
For me, just to nail a spot down, really. No matter the age, for me, it doesn't matter. I want to play. And yeah, I just want to play games, really. I'm a footballer, soccer player, so that's all you want to do.
And what would you say your best qualities are? How would you describe yourself as a player to somebody who hasn't seen tape on you?
Yeah, I think my main strength is aggression, tackling, more of the dirty work. I kind of actually like that part of the game. I also think I can be good on the ball when I'm facing the pitch. So yeah, I think a lot of people will see that I'm very strong defensively. That's my strength.
And then this season, St. Louis has gone from a 3 center back look to 2. Do you have a preference for either one of those?
I can play both. Yeah, don't mind it. I like the 2. Didn't get the chance to play in the 3. But yeah, like both.
And what do you how do you feel this team is progressing under David Critchley?
I think we've definitely performed better. I don't think the last game was a good outlook on the last 3 games, but I think we've been much better on the ball. I think in duels, last game we need to be a little bit better. We need to keep the ball a bit better, but I think overall this past month we've definitely taken some steps forward with Critchley.
Talk to me about training a little bit. You seem like you have a nice repertoire with the other teammates. There's some kind of razzing back and forth.
Yeah.
How are you getting along with your teammates?
Yeah, I like this group. I think I'm a bit loud. I like to get amongst it, throw a couple jokes out there. And yeah, I like the group.
And how do you feel about St. Louis? You haven't been here for a full year quite, and obviously back and forth Australia here with injuries and recoveries. Yeah. What do you think about St. Louis so far, and any particular spots that you've found yourself? Henry Kessler is a big arch guy. Yeah. Anything in particular you've found that you've liked in St. Louis?
Yeah, I would say Kess is one of my better mates here. We spend some time off the pitch. We like to go for some dinners sometimes. We like our food. I'm up at Central West End, so I really like that area there. So I'm usually hanging around there, getting some coffee, and yeah, nice area. In terms of St. Louis, definitely different from where I come from. I came from a place called Bondi Beach, so I'm used to the water, but no water here.
Well, there's the river.
Yeah, there is a river.
Doesn't quite count.
That doesn't count.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've liked to go to Forest Park. I really like there, and yeah.
All right. Girdwood-Reich, thanks for talking to us. Best of luck against RSL and going forward.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.